Meta just bought the fastest growing AI agent company in history for what's probably around $1 to $2 billion. An AI product built by a Chinese founding team shaped inside China's AI talent ecosystem before scaling globally from Singapore. When you actually run the math, the logic behind this move becomes very clear. Manus hit $100 million ARR in 8 months. That's faster than ChatGPT, faster than Midjourney, faster than any AI product ever. But the impressive part isn't just the speed, it's how they got there. Manus processed 147 trillion tokens this year and spun up 80 million virtual computers, each running sandboxed Linux environments in the cloud. 80 million isolated execution environments is infrastructure scale that most AI startups never get close to. Meta likely paid between 8 to 16x revenue to close this, based on a $125 million revenue run rate and a $500 million April valuation. For a company scaling this fast, those multiples look far more reasonable than people assume at first glance. To understand why this deal happened, you have to separate two very different types of AI companies that the market keeps blending together. The first kind trains models, the neural brains. That's OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, DeepSeek, Qwen. They focus on reasoning accuracy, token prediction, academic benchmarks, model interconnects, memory mechanisms, and pushing the limits of inference intelligence. These labs are competing for $100 billion valuations because the world believes that whoever owns the smartest model owns the future. The second kind builds environments where models can actually execute tasks reliably in the real world. Manus belongs to this second category. Meta didn't just buy a model today. They bought a production-tested execution layer. Meta's AI strategy in 2025 has struggled in public and private. Llama 4 didn't match GPT-5 or Claude on the major benchmarks that tested reasoning, math, and coding reliability. The Meta AI app went viral for conversation leaks into the public Discover feed, which was never designed to expose private chats. The rollout was so botched that oversight was moved away from Chris Cox, employee number 13, one of the earliest people to shape Facebook's internal product culture. The restructuring signaled that Meta knew it had a product problem, not a model problem. Zuckerberg's response was fast, expensive, and bold. Meta paid $14 billion for a 49% stake in Scale AI and hired Alexander Wang as Chief AI Officer, bringing the infrastructure oversight under Meta Superintelligence Labs, where Avocado, Meta's upcoming closed model, is being developed. Months later, Meta raised its CapEx guidance, but even with the money spent, the missing piece wasn't solved. Meta had compute, Meta had models, Meta had massive distribution. What it didn't have was a reliable agent framework that could finish business workflows without constant human steering. That gap is why Manus AI became so strategically relevant. Manus doesn't predict the next word. Manus predicts the next action. You assign a high-level goal, and a planner decomposes it into steps. Then the executor writes Python scripts on the fly to complete the subtask inside an isolated Linux sandbox. Then a verifier checks whether the result actually solved the task. That three-layer orchestration, planner, executor, verifier, is the reason Manus could scale task reliability faster than anyone expected. The sandbox is the product. Manus gives every user or business workflow a dedicated cloud Linux instance. That means the system can manipulate files, run scripts, browse the web, automate spreadsheets, generate research, deploy pages, chain tool calls, and complete multi-step tasks without losing grounding. That is why businesses adopted Manus differently than chat-based AI. ChatGPT could generate brilliant answers. Manus could generate brilliant answers and run them as tasks, which is what enterprises and paying users actually value. The AI market in 2025 reached a point where everyone started realizing something uncomfortable but important. Intelligence without execution is not a moat. Execution environments are. You can train the smartest model on the planet, but if it can't reliably finish a payroll automation, a spreadsheet workflow, a research task, a scraping loop, or a long chain of tool calls without disconnecting or hallucinating, it's not yet a product. Manus solved that bottleneck not by inventing new neural cores, but by engineering a system that could keep tasks grounded through orchestration and validated execution. This is also why situated agency matters more than people assume. Situated agency is the idea that intelligence isn't a model feature alone. It emerges from coupling models to tools, memory, execution environments, verification loops, and routing layers. Manus productized this. They built the most compatible environment for models to reason and act inside, instead of training a new model from scratch. That coupling enabled them to scale reliability without burning compute on constant retries. Most AI agents retry login loops, scraping loops, or code loops that already succeeded once. Manus caches successful scripts and the tokens that powered them, making the next run faster and cheaper. Manus also routes subtasks between models based on complexity. For scraping a website, it can route to a low-cost model. For summarization, it can route to a higher context or more capable model. For logic verification, it can run Claude or Qwen interchangeably. That model-agnostic routing means that Meta could inherit Manus's execution environment today and swap in Avocado later when Meta's internal model is finally ready. The architecture abstracts the model layer behind tool calls, making the system adaptable. This is critical because it means Meta didn't just acquire a software feature. It acquired a routing-ready execution framework. The Avocado model is still TBD. But Manus's architecture already works commercially. That means Meta inherits execution IP, sandbox infrastructure, token caching, task routing, and a team that already understands how agents behave when real customers are paying for reliability. This also explains why Meta could integrate Manus into WhatsApp, Ray-Ban smart glasses, Quest headsets, Messenger, Instagram, and eventually every task delegation surface Meta owns. None of those products require Meta to score highest academically. They require Meta to finish tasks reliably on behalf of users. That's distribution-level agency, not benchmark-level agency. Ray-Ban smart glasses are one of Meta's most important agentic surfaces for the future. These glasses don't need to solve a math problem in a chat window. They need to hand off real-world context, take commands, cache past tasks, route subtasks, chain tool calls, manipulate files, browse, scrape, deploy, and complete tasks reliably without losing focus. That is, why wearables need an agent that can run execution loops without constant retries. And Manus demonstrated that reliability in production before the market even agreed on what to call it. This also fits Meta's broader talent consolidation strategy. Meta's internal AI teams were working on Llama development on one side and Avocado development under Wang's supervision on the other. The overlap caused strategic dispersion. The Manus acquisition moves a China-founded team, now Singapore-based, directly under Wang's supervision at Meta Superintelligence Labs, consolidating the agent talent pipeline and placing it under the same oversight as Meta's closed model roadmap. That consolidation tells you something about the next phase of Meta's AI investments. It's not just about compute budgets anymore. It's about bringing the execution frameworks and talent under one cohesive oversight structure so the ecosystem can iterate more reliably. The AI industry has reached a point where the cost of replication is a strategic variable, not just a budget variable. You can rent cloud Linux sandboxes, but you can't rent talent that already understands agentic grounding in production. You can train models, but you can't train a model to reliably complete 80 million isolated Linux workflows without the orchestration layer that keeps those tasks grounded. Manus engineered that layer. And that is why Meta moved today. When Benchmark funded Manus at $500 million in April, the Treasury Department was reviewing Chinese investments into AI startups and tightening restrictions around capital flows. But Benchmark invested anyway. 8 months later, Benchmark is exiting at 2 to 4x returns, closing one of the fastest funding-to-exit cycles in AI history. That kind of return velocity signals that the investor side of the AI race isn't just about betting on new neural architectures. It's about betting on companies that can commercialize agency outside the model. And that tells you something about the AI application layer going forward. Foundation labs are the brains. Agent labs are the bodies. The brains get 100 billion valuations. The bodies get billion-dollar acquisitions. But the bodies have to work reliably. Manus proved that reliability could be a product. That means the remaining question going forward isn't about whether Manus is technically impressive. It clearly is. The question is cultural. Can a kit-bashed agentic environment survive inside a company trying to train its own foundation models from scratch? That question is always answered by markets, users, and internal product iteration, not by cheap hype phrases or benchmark PDFs. Meta's ecosystem is now at an inflection point where execution reliability is more valuable than model intelligence in isolation. Meta could be positioning to become an agentic infrastructure company, not just a foundation model company. And that fits Zuckerberg's historical playbook. Zuckerberg didn't win social by inventing a new social prototype every year. He won by acquiring and distributing the fast-moving products his internal teams couldn't replicate fast enough. Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus, Quest, Ray-Ban wearables. This deal is consistent with that same logic. So, if Meta eventually swaps Claude for Avocado inside Manus's model-agnostic agent environment, do you think it catches up to OpenAI's agents faster than Google can evolve Gemini agents? Comment your take. And if you want the real story behind the world's fastest-moving AI breakthroughs, make sure to like and subscribe to Evolving AI for daily coverage.